everybody, welcome back to JRB Live. I'm finally here with the amazing Amanda Adam, who has written this amazing series that you are going to love. I say merewif, is that right?
Yeah, I say merewif too. I think another pronunciation is merewif, but yeah.
Yes. Yes, okay, because I've been saying merewif, and I love that name. And but then right before this, I was like, I wonder if mermaid, merwif, and so I thought I'd have to ask. Anyway, it's so good. It's so good, and I'm just so excited to have you here, and I'm so excited to talk to you about it. We are in the presence of greatness.
Oh.
We are in the presence of greatness. It is so flawless. It's flawless. It's seamless. You're just an amazing writer, and I'm going to give you all the uncomfortable compliments during this hour or so that we talk.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much. Wow, golly, yeah. I don't know what to say, but that wow. Well, that's amazing. I'm so glad that you feel that it's flawless, but I don't know. Other people might disagree, but that's great.
It's so good. It's so good. And this is a special show. This is a special show for more than one reason. For one, Amanda Adam is here. Two, today is book 2's release day.
Yay! It
so
is
exciting.
I purposefully didn't put it out there until after this interview so that I could announce, hey, it's going to be available tonight at I just depending on, I'll hit click go, and then we'll see how long the powers that be will allow it to be read, but it's going to be out there tonight, so it's exciting. Yeah.
Oh, exciting. Yes. That's so they have to wait till after the show. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And hey, Tricky, thank you so much for coming over here. So we're going to have the chat. It's a live show, so there's the chat. And Tricky's here. He says, glad you sorted out the problem. We are too. We don't know what it was. Evil spirits. It was evil spirits is what it was. But here we are by the grace of the Lord. So, but in case you missed it, we are here with Amanda Adam, who has written Merewif, and it is a story about a mermaid witch, and it is so good. I could not put it down, and I still have like 3 chapters to go, but I'm so glad that I have not read those, because every time I've read the whole book and I love the book and I talk about it with people on here, I spoil something. I say, I'm not going to spoil the ending for you, and then I go ahead and spoil. So it's good that I have not read the last 3 chapters.
I know, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I wonder if we'll have a conversation where, like we talk about the second book and I accidentally say something. So I'll try to be mindful of that too, because that's the worst. Some people don't mind it. Other people are like, no, So.
Yes. I don't mind. I think that's why I'm so bad about it,
Yeah.
But a lot of people mind. Because somebody could literally tell me the whole story. And it's not the same as when you read it or watch it on TV.
It's not. No, sorry. I'm trying to plug. I'm in my husband's office because I have my 2- and 4-year-old upstairs, and I'm not used to being down here. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to plug in my phone now.
I hear it. Yeah,
so
that's
apologies,
awesome.
but yeah, that's pretty. That's a lot of fun that you haven't read the last 3 chapters, because now like this is even more fun. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, the whole book has been so good so far. Every single chapter. Tricky says, I am of Viking descent. And so I'm looking forward to see where this goes.
Who says that?
Tricky subject.
Okay. Yeah. So somebody on right now named Tricky, or you are?
Yeah, well, that's not his real name.
Yeah.
That's his free name is Tricky.
Well, tell this Tricky, same here.
Oh, you're Viking descent?
Well, my grandpa, was born in Sweden. So yes, yes,
awesome.
Essentially, yes. And then, so, I guess you could say so. I mean, I couldn't go far back enough in my genealogy to say for sure, but we claim that in my family. Yeah. My maiden name is Holmberg. So yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. That's awesome. I have 2 Vikings. I've always wanted to be a Viking, but I doubt I am. I'm never anything exciting. But I'm some of everything. Nice to meet you.
Aren't we all? Yes, aren't we all? Yes, I know. It's funny because you do your genealogy, and then it's like my grandpa's born in Sweden, yet somehow from my bloodlines, whatever, I'm like 47% Scottish, which I thought was fun. I thought I'd be more Irish than Scottish, but apparently not. But we all pull differently with our DNA.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah, it
is.
And
how you're different than your siblings. What is that?
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. It's so neat, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Um,
neat.
yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure. I have a sister, who's, she looks like a Viking. She's like 6 feet tall, blonde hair, like,
Yeah,
really, yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure, like, if she did her DNA, it probably would pull from that more than me.
sure.
So,
Maybe.
I
Yeah.
don't know. You never know. That's how I
You
feel
never
about it.
know.
I'm not really sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And we're toasting today. We're
Oh yes,
toasting.
I got an extra big glass. Now I usually drink out of these tiny little glasses, but I got an extra big one. So
That's
yeah,
big.
it's actually really big. In fact, I don't usually drink that much anymore.
Sure.
But we'll see how far I get. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
if
anyway,
I was to
cheers.
drink that much red wine on the, podcast,
Yeah, I'm not going to
I
drink too
start
much.
slurring my words.
I just thought it needed to look pretty. So
For sure, yes. And I have this, special, I brought the bottle. I'm not gonna drink from the bottle, but, I brought this special because her book is heavy mythology here. So, I have how would you pronounce that? Acadine. Acadine?
I
Ac
think Acadine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what Google Translate said.
yeah,
Google, pronunciation said.
yeah.
But I looked it up, and that is a Greek mythology fountain that you throw a writing into the fountain. If it's true, it rises to the top. If it's false, it sinks.
It's kind of like old witch trials.
So cool.
Mhm. If she drowns, yeah, anyway, yeah. That's
That's
pretty cool.
awesome.
That's really neat. I know when you sent me that, now I'm gonna have to look it up and read about that because I find that fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's
That is
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
I know. I just thought it was such a cool title to a wine. The wine title, you
I
know.
like it a lot. Oh,
So
I
I
love
had
that.
to like look it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do a toast
Yes.
to Merewif, to
Ooh.
Merewif Book 2. What's the name of it again?
Rise of the Valkyrie.
Yes, we have Merewif Book 1, which is The Mermaid Witch, and then Book 2, The Rise of the Valkyrie. Such a cool
Mhm.
name. Um, yes, I love that. And then my friend got a kidney today.
I'm so excited. That was a
So
beautiful story.
let's
Yeah.
toast to that.
Yes,
Also,
absolutely.
we have Tricky on here, who I know he knows of this show through another show called The Goslings. It's the
Hmm.
Goss brothers, and they talk about things like the end of the world, Bigfoot, all things esoteric.
Yes,
So they have a toast that I'm going to do. Okay.
I love it.
Take up the broken sword of your father and strike down the darkness.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yes.
Okay, that's just topped another toast that I've learned. Let's just do that. So take the sword of your brothers and strike down the darkness.
Take up the broken sword of your father
Okay.
and strike down the darkness.
That's so Tolkien-esque. I love it. Okay, let's do it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That was awesome.
I gotta tell you a quick story, but real quick before you start asking me questions, just real quick. I taught English in Slovakia a long time ago, and there was this lady translating a toast, and it's supposed to go, "Here's to strong horses and beautiful women," but she got it mixed up, and I liked it better because she said, "Here's to strong women and beautiful horses."
Oh, there you go. That's good.
And so anyway, that's another cheers that I never forgot, and I'll definitely
Yeah.
never forget the one you just told me. So anyways, I like
Awesome.
things
It
like
was
that. So
good. Yeah. And it wasn't like embarrassing when she mixed it up.
no, I
Sometimes
liked
you
it
can
better.
mix
Yeah,
up.
yeah, it was pretty
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll keep
Anyway,
that one in mind too.
yeah,
Like to collect the cheers.
yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. Okay, so what inspired this book? It's so good. For anyone just joining us, it is about a mermaid witch, Merewif, and a full-blood mermaid witch. It's called a sailfin. Is that the way you pronounce it?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Great. I
Yes.
thought for sure I'd get it wrong.
No, you got it. You got it.
But a half-blood, one with one human parent and one mermaid witch parent, is a merewif.
That's
And
right. So
so,
yeah, I would just say mermaid. I wouldn't necessarily because she's a mermaid witch, right? Because like,
oh
anyways,
yeah,
not to get into like
sure.
the nerdy part, but yes, yeah, absolutely, that's right. Mhm.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so they're not all mermaid witches. She is the mermaid witch.
Well, okay, yeah. So
It's
the
sailfin.
translation of sailfin is sea elf, and
Sure.
then the translation of merewif is a sea witch, right? So
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
essentially, they all have Vala or magic, and so, but the humans who have, bred, I guess you would say, or had babies with the this race of people, the Sailfin, have the Vala or magic in their blood, and that's where it came from. So that's the
Yeah.
mythology that I've created. So yeah, essentially, they all are really. They all have that magic in their veins, so to
Got it.
speak. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. Yeah, I love all of that. Feel free to explain that as much as you possibly want. It's so cool.
Okay.
But yeah, so yes, our protagonist, Madge, I love that name. She finds out on her 16th birthday that she is a mermaid witch, a merewif. And so she has been left a task by her murdered mother and father. And not only does she have to find out what that task is, but then she has to go after it, and it is terrifying. And it is so cool though, because the whole world is just so imaginative. You did such a good job of pulling mythology into current times. I mean, it's just brilliant. It even has like a Harry Potter feel in a way. Like Juliana, the sea nymph. She made me feel like like when they're talking to the house ghosts.
Oh yeah. It's like nearly headless Nick or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yes,
I love it.
Wonderful. Exactly. Tricky says she is the mother of Grendel. Are you talking about Amanda?
Oh.
And he also says, I am also Viking Scottish mix Halbastar.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Oh, how fun.
Awesome. I'm not, but I'll just say I am because I am tall and blonde and very pale.
Have you done your ancestry yet?
Yes. Oh. And I do have some Scottish in there. So.
Now I can see the messages. Glad you sorted the problem. Oh, fun. Okay.
Cool.
And my whole right forearm has a tattoo of Valkyrie. Oh, you're going to love the second book. That's going to be fun for this person. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, what inspired this?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, firstly, I don't ever want to put down any other great work out there. I just feel that the mermaid niche hasn't really been told as well as I would like it to. So I was telling the story that I wanted told. So I feel like there's all these cosplay worthy vampire stories out there and werewolf stories, all the things, right? But I just didn't feel there was one sufficient for mermaids yet, especially for one of the most popular lore in the entire world. Some of the most ancient lore out there is actually mermaid lore, and it just seemed like it hadn't been done justice yet, if that makes sense. And every time it's been told, it's under the ocean or kind of like a little too mysterious or a little too far away. So I wanted to bring something home a little bit. So that was my goal, and I've always loved fairy tales and mythology, so I kind of pulled it all together that way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, totally. That's what I was going to ask next is, are you just really into mythology?
Yeah,
you had to research the heck out of this?
Oh, I had to read both. So I like mythology a lot, but I also had to research the heck out of it. And it was really kind of spooky sometimes how I would have just a wild idea about something, and then I would go into researching it and how mythology sort of supported it without me ever knowing about the mythology. So it's really strange, especially with Lilith. We won't get into her yet, but I'll just name her. That was really interesting. So and it was a lot of research, a lot of world building. Definitely that took a long time, so that was a lot of fun.
No kidding. But you've just always been into it.
Yeah, fairy tales and folklore, always. Yeah, my first book my dad got me was a book of Grimm's fairy tales, and so I really kind of got into it when I was little. And but it's not something I've ever researched before. It's just something I've sponged up. And so at this point when I'm writing now, I definitely research, and there's so much of it. It's just a wealth of lore that just it's pretty awesome. Just knowing, especially ancient stuff that we only have snippets of. It's really interesting to get into that. It's fun. Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah. Well, you did so good. I mean, you could tell you at least had a decent interest in it. And I was like, how does she know all this stuff? Because it's loaded with mythology, and I mean, just all of these things, all of these facts, but it's, but the story is just so interesting. And I was so impressed.
Oh, thank you.
It's so good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just, you have the witch stuff, the mermaid stuff, sirens. There's the Merlin stuff, which, oh my gosh, the way that it's just, I told you before this, that it was so seamless, because you do that so well, and just the telling of the current story, and then going into the mythology, and going into like when she goes into her visions and stuff, it's just so well done. And you're they always tell writers to use all the senses,
Yeah.
and I feel like that can be really clunky sometimes. I know it's clunky with me, but like, you have done it flawlessly. It was just so good. It was such a smooth read, and just I can't say enough good things about it.
Well, thank you.
And in this interview, I'm not going to be able to tell you all the things that are in it that you're going to love, and so you just have to read it, because you will love it.
I have to tell you a quick funny story with that. So
Yes.
one of my readers, he's I think a middle-aged man, Native American, awesome guy and artist and things like that. But he kind of was like, he was kind of asking me like, so is this real? Like, because that's just what I wanted to create, was something that people thought, ooh, this could really be real, something that totally exists. And so that was kind of fun. He's kind of half joking, but he was kind of like, is this real? So it was kind of
like, do you believe it, is what he was asking, or like, is it?
He was asking me if I was writing about something that existed. It was fun. It was neat and I kind of chuckled. So that was cool. Like, just hearing somebody who's that's what I wanted, was people to go, ooh, this could be real. This could actually exist. So that's kind of fun that you're mentioning that. So yeah.
You want it to exist. I want it to exist.
I do. Yeah.
I don't want all the problems to exist, but all of us, I think, want, well, not all of us, I don't know, but someone to come in and say, guess what? Your whole life you thought you were normal, but you're a mermaid and a witch.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, that would explain my I joke about this, but like, I have big feet. I wear a size 10 foot.
Me too.
And so I joke that like I have flippers, and they're made for swimming.
So, yes, that's what we're meant for.
It would explain it. Yeah, it would explain that. It's just, well.
That's the Viking thing.
Yeah,
there's no Vikings with small feet. Come on now. No, exactly. Nope. Wielding the axe with tiny feet. Come on.
No, no, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's awesome. Tricky said Merewif is the name of Grendel's mother in the fable of Beowulf.
Yes, it is. And it means mermaid in Old English. And so that's exactly where I got that. Yeah.
Right.
Now, I used, as you know, and you know from the book, I used a lot of Old English, which obviously has Norse mythology, like, woven into it. And so the word sailfin is actually a blend of Old English that I came up with myself. Yeah. So that's just, so I'm glad this person is on here who loves all of this, because it makes for great conversation. But yes, definitely, that's not a word I came up with. It's Old English from Beowulf. Yeah, but it's also just from their mythology. As we know, Beowulf is a sort of a guide to the old to Old English lore. So anyway.
That's awesome. Hey, so is this your first book that you've written?
Yeah, it really is. It actually is. Yeah, because I used to write a lot of short stories. And it's funny because growing up, I wrote a lot of, when I would write anything fairy-like this, it was mostly poetry, long poetry, like story poetry. And the short stories I used to write, I did write one that was actually otherworldly. And that's another reason I got an idea for her, well, for the old world thing. But I used to write a lot about shipwrecks, about being shipwrecked and going on adventures, because I was such a Goonies fan and a shipwrecked like a sailor, all the things. And so, but that's the first complete book I've ever read or written. Sorry.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. It's so well done. It's so well done for a first book. Not just for a first book. Like, you never know that it was your first book in a million years.
Oh, thank you. That's
It's
awesome.
just so well done. That's
Oh,
unbelievable.
oh.
And how long did it take you to write it? Come up with all
I
that?
s- I started it. I started writing in 2013. And at that time it was mostly pen on paper, notebook kind of style, and it was a lot of
Yeah.
brainstorming. And I wrote here and there as much as I could off and on. But when I really took it hard was when I was pregnant with my daughter. And then I was like, okay, I got to get this done before I have this baby, because
Sure.
once I have her, I know I'm not going to have as much time. So I really like worked really hard at it from like
Yeah.
2000s. From like 2017, I really worked hard, and
Okay.
2000, and into 2018. So, and I didn't publish it until after she was born, after all. But I worked hard at that point. So yeah, so it was just
Yeah.
kind of a long time of just the story evolved a million times, and I played with it for a long time and took my time, and then I finally just went for it. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's so cool. I read it in the beginning when dedicate it to your kids, and that you were pregnant when you
hmm
wrote it. And
yeah,
and I thought that was so interesting because the mother and dad's love for Madge, I was like, she nailed it even before she had a baby. That's so hard to do, when you don't know that mother's love, because once
yeah.
you have a baby, you're like, I, I've never loved anything. This is love. you know?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
It's weird. There were a lot of moments where it was Bridget, my firstborn, and I
Yeah,
really connected with her. I got a sense of her while she was in my belly. So
sure.
I feel like, yeah, it was weird. Yeah, she really kind of, growing her was an inspiration. So her little soul was just speaking to me or something. I don't know. Not to
That's
say
so
that that's
good.
true, but I just felt like it was inspiring for me. So it was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool that you said that. That's awesome.
For sure. Yeah. I wasn't like connected to my kids in the womb. It was
Yeah,
after they were born. I was like, you're so amazing. But
yeah.
I remember feeling like, you know, all these other mothers say they're so connected, and I'm like, not at all. but,
I
but
say that I am not. I do not. Well, not to get on the pregnancy. We can get off topic, but
yeah.
I
No.
don't. I'm not one of those ladies who's like, I love being pregnant.
No,
Nope.
nope, me neither.
Nope.
I love
Don't
the
like it.
baby. I love the
Yeah.
baby.
Yes.
And
It's
I'm all for
cool,
the
but
baby being in the womb. I'm all for that,
yes.
Let's not do
Oh yeah.
anything with it. But
Yeah. Oh no. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
this sucks.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I'm right there with you. But yeah, you nailed that. Motherly love,
Oh.
Um, did you get any pushback with the witchcraft and the magic from
Oh yeah. I mean,
Christians?
there are not to my face, but I know for sure there's been sort of slight hints at people who are like, ooh, like I was at a book fair recently, and a lady asked me, she was like, so do you have any experience with witches? But I could tell she was fishing,
Yeah.
and I just said, no, this isn't sort of a book about Wiccan witches. It's creating a folklore that explains magic. And she's like, oh, okay. And so she kind of was like, oh, okay. And I explained, I said it's a combination of Norse mythology, Arthurian legend, and biblical creation. She's like, oh, okay. So we left it at that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I have a little bit, and I'm sure but not to my face, or not anybody reaching out in that kind of way. So I think I've seen things from other people like, oh, there's no such thing as a good witch. I'm like, I'm not painting that picture that you think I'm, and it's not that I'm anti, because I like witch stories, they're fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, no, not exactly, which
Sure.
is good, because yeah,
Yeah.
that would
I
be.
know. I have this uh I hate saying pet peeve. I hate that. So some other term. I had this some other term with
Yeah.
Christians and conservatives, which, that we are always asking for awesome works by Christians. But then when it's not completely squeaky clean, we say no. And then we're watching the secular stuff. We watch the secular stuff instead.
Oh, I know.
It
It's so
makes no
funny.
sense to me, But one thing that was really cool about yours is I have this saying that I've been saying lately: make YA for teens again. Okay,
Oh yeah.
make make YA for teens again, okay? Because we have YA, young adult, for 13 plus, and it's like loaded with horrible things.
I know.
Like, just, I mean, like really raunchy stuff, you know? And I'm not even like a super clean person, you know, like I'm fine with cussing and like, you know, all of that. But it's just like straight out like pornographic stuff in the YA novels, you know? And the young adult 13 plus is not for 13 plus, you know, it's for raunchy adults. But yours, you did such a good, like, it's such an interesting story. It's a huge page turner. It's full of so much just interesting magic and folklore. You know? Because not only is it a cool part of the story, but you can go and look it up and read the real stuff, you know? Like that's what I did with Merlin's what's his name again? The woman that her name starts with the M.
Morgaine.
Morgaine. Yes. I had no idea about Morgaine. And I looked it up and I'm like, this is so cool. So good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And I've definitely taken liberties with things and tied it together in ways. But yeah, Morgaine, yeah, she's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
So good. And the big names, you know, who are actually mermaids, you know? Like, and I mean that's one thing, like the Goslings that Tricky, he's on that he's in the chat with me on the Goslings. And they're always talking about like Prince Charles is possibly the Antichrist, you know, that kind of stuff, you know? And so like, you know, just Queen Elizabeth possibly being a mermaid.
Yes, absolutely. I had so much fun with that, you know, like just, yeah. And then,
That was good.
well, yeah. So, and then it leads you to like, you know, ooh, I wonder if this politician is like this and that, you know, kind of even nowadays, it's just fun to kind of, yeah.
It's just so fun the way that you took it. And
Thank you.
I mean, even just an adult, I'm 40, you know, and it was just so fun. You just disappear into this fantasy world. I got to look up all the folklore because I'm not like well versed in it. You know, I'm very interested in it all, but I don't know the difference between Greek and Roman and all that kind of stuff. I want to, but it was just fun to read the story, and it was super entertaining. You know, but then go and like look up who these people actually are. You know, like in folklore, and it's so cool. Yes, you did such a great job. And I don't know how to like stress to people enough that they have to read it because it's so good.
Yeah, I was trying to create something that that makes you think it's going to be something it's not. And it was great because there was an author who wrote on Goodreads like, this starts out as your typical, okay, a 16-year-old has a necklace, she's a mermaid, blah blah, and then she goes, and then the author surprised the heck out of me. Like she was like, and then all of a sudden it takes this turn and it gets gritty and you know, darker and gritty, and there's a whole adventure, and she's like, and then all this folklore, and she's like freaking out how it changed. And I did that on purpose. I wanted that setup, the old world, to be completely different. Read it or JRB will hurt you.
We're just talking about you guys.
Yeah, so it was I wanted people to be surprised, and that's because that's what makes you want to keep going, you know. So yeah. That's pretty. Yeah, I like it that you.
Surprising. Yeah, and there was something I was gonna say about all that. Just how you did like the lab. You know, like this is like an institute where the mermaids are like studied and all this, but it's so like royal. You know, like it has this like all this stuff in it, like where Juliana is. That what is that called?
Yeah, in the vault.
The vault. Yes. Yeah, and I could just see that so well, like her just disappearing into the painting, you know. She's a sea nymph. And she is kind of the keeper of secrets, and it was just also done so good. Unbelievable. It was Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan Gosling. Gosling. It's the Goslings, but it's Jonathan and Nick Goss from the Goslings. And we were just talking about your show on Prince Charles being or King Charles now being the Antichrist.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
So
I love it.
I know. I follow their stuff, but I'm preterist, so I don't. You know. Anyway. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I asked if you were really into mythology because there's so much cool stuff in here, and then I saw your review. The reason I figured you probably got some pushback, even though you did the Apple Eve tree snake thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is not even all that. But I mean, you put that in there, so it definitely points to
Yes.
creation in such a cool way. But I knew even so, people would be upset that there's magic and witchcraft. And I looked at your reviews, and somebody said that you
Ripped off.
ripped off the creation story, and I was like, to the glory of God, what I mean? Once
Yes.
you start getting bad reviews, you've made it, in my opinion.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, you could say the same thing of C.S. Lewis then, like
Yeah.
you ripped off the Jesus story with Aslan. It's just like, it's called, there's words for this. Allegory, maybe, or, there's a million, ways we can paint that. But I don't know. That was the funniest review because I'm like, well, yeah, I did. I did that on purpose. The same way I'm using Norse mythology and
Yes.
Arthurian legend. But anyway, that was a funny review. That kind of makes me giggle. I think she
For
gave me
sure.
four stars, which was funny.
Yeah,
But
they
that's
still
fine.
give you
She
4
enjoyed the
stars.
story. Yeah.
Yeah. But once you start getting reviews like that, you've made it, because it's not just your friends and family reviewing you,
Oh, yes.
you have
yes,
like
yes.
cold
Oh, yes.
reviewers.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And she
Oh,
still loved it because it's so good.
oh, well, thank you. Yeah, she did say she really enjoyed the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my favorite reviews from perfect strangers, or your fan mail that you get and all that stuff.
Right.
And then, and it's not that I need that at all.
Yeah.
What makes me happy is I love the story so much. And I know, like, I would love to see it just grow and be something more. And so when other people come out and say they love it so much, it just makes me happy, and that they love the story. Not that they think
Yeah.
I'm a great writer, but that they love the story. That just makes me so happy. And I know you know what I mean, because
Oh,
you're a
yeah.
writer too, an author too. And so, yeah, it's just the coolest thing when I have never met somebody before, and which is plenty of those, and what they have to say, it's like you just gobble it up. It just gives you fuel.
For
So
sure. Oh, yeah. There's authors all the time that say that they don't care if anybody ever reads their work. And I'm like,
no,
no,
that's
no,
not
you want people to read your stuff. It's kind of like getting married, or like having the baby. You're writing the book and you're in the engagement period, but you want to get married. You know what I mean? Or you want to have the baby. You don't want to be pregnant forever. You know what I mean? And once you get the readers, that's like getting married.
Yeah,
You
yeah. Oh.
don't want to just write words for nothing. You want people to read it and give you feedback, even if they don't love it. Like if they at least read it and they were interested enough to get to the end, that's enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Oh, yeah. The reviews are so much fun, and I think I tried to assemble all the ones that said they couldn't put it down. I love that feeling. For me, isn't it the best when you get a big thick book that you're like, I have to stay up till 4 a.m. because I can't stop. Like that's the best. It's the best. And
Yes.
so
That's what I was doing. I stay up till like which midnight for me is like a 4 a.m.
Oh,
I'm like,
trust me, I know. Yeah, I'm saying.
So I was doing that. I kept reading it in the pickup line at school. So, but yeah, it's definitely one of those, and it's just so imaginative. Like I kept trying to imagine you, like just coming up with this world, like how you just sat there and thought of these names and just all of these magical elements that you came up with, because it's so like Harry Potter. It's like that kind of magic world, that you like go to from the real. That's my favorite kind of fantasy, is the fantasy that's still connected to the real world.
Yeah, real world fantasy, absolutely, same here, because that's what makes it feel like it could be real, and that's what's exciting about it, right? And Ian Conray, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, Conray or Conry, I'm not sure which one, probably Conry. I liked his review. He's another author who wrote Halen's Ballad. Amazing book. Incredible. Like, talk about world building too. Yeah. His review is one of my favorites because he said it's some of the best world building he's ever read. And that meant a lot because, in my head, I hadn't actually coined that in my head. I hadn't actually thought of it yet. I just know that I had so many notebooks full of like the charts of, you know, this and that kind of Vala and this history and that history, all the backstory that you don't see on the page necessarily, but you see it through just, you know, woven in. And so that was really cool to hear it put that way, because I hadn't thought of that, you know.
Yeah.
That was fun. Yeah.
So now the Vala, or Vala, however you say it, the
Vala.
that is a real thing. Not a real thing, but like a actual thing from I mean,
So-
I want to say that I heard it in Frozen, right? Like, wasn't it in there? Like Vala, like she, and in Frozen 2, when she's, I thought there was Vala.
I don't know, actually. You know, it's actually so yay for real world fantasy.
What?
Yes.
She's
Right.
awesome.
Oh, actually, so
or did you just make it up?
Yeah, so here's the thing. The editor I used is amazing. Her name is Lisa Edwards, and she used to be the president of Scholastic in the UK. She's amazing. She was an amazing editor. I can't recommend, if you're ever going to self-publish, you have to have an amazing editor.
Yeah.
And so she didn't edit grammar, she was editing story. And so and at first I was just calling it magic. And she told me, she's like, magic is too Disney. You don't want to do that. And she's like, middle grade maybe, but don't call it magic. And I was like, she's like, maybe come up with something. And I thought, okay, she's right. And so being a Tolkien fan and nerd that I am, because I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd.
Okay.
I went to Tolkien and then looked it up, and Vala has
okay.
Yeah, from there. Now I think he also he's a linguistic person, so am I. I'm a linguistic nerd.
Okay.
And so he really inspires me that way. And so I looked up, I found something. I even have a Tolkien dictionary, because that's just how I am. But anyway,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and I can't, you know. So anyways, that's where I got that word.
Got it. Okay.
There
maybe
is,
that's where I've heard it from then. But
yeah. There are nods to Tolkien in the book, as you know. So, you know, the Aircia, for example, comes from Tolkien as well. So that's just why. And that's just my nod to him, because he's amazing. So yeah. Talk about world building. Like that's Yeah.
I'm not a huge Tolkien. I have read the series just to read it. Okay. And I have a huge respect for Tolkien.
Yeah.
But his books are too long for me. I can't do it. They're too long. And if I like the movies better. This is horrible.
Oh no, that's not horrible. It's because it's classic literature. It takes its time, and it's like the movies, thankfully, were so well done. Oh my goodness,
so well done. Yeah,
and I can't tell you how many times I've watched those movies. But yes, I'm with you there. I understand.
Yeah, but I love Lewis. I'm a huge Lewis enthusiast. You know, yes. Yeah. But I don't know why I can't. I think too. Because I do like the fantasy rooted in the real world, you know, is another reason why I don't get so much into Tolkien, you know, because it is just so
high fantasy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I do have a huge respect for him. The movies are better. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah. And then Tricky says, that's a good cue for my giant hobbit's feet.
You know, Tricky, I literally, my husband, everybody knows that I dubbed my feet hobbit's feet too, because I can actually hike barefoot. And I have like the biggest, not fat, I just have really big, I have my dad's hands and feet. And so like these really wide nail beds. See, I don't know if you can tell, but they're really big. And I could never, I'm happily married now, but before that, I could never date a guy who had like skinnier thumbs than me, because it was just, I just couldn't handle it. And long story short, I have hobbit feet too. And apparently so do my kids, which I was excited about, because we were on a trail and it was hot. They took the shoes off and just walked barefoot. And my husband's from Louisiana, where the ground is soft. And he's like, I don't know how y'all do this. I'm like, it's just, I don't know. Genetics, I guess. It's fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I don't go outside. But when I did as a child, I was barefoot.
Yeah.
And I totally get your thumb thing. You know, before I was married, I was like, you can be prettier than me. You can be shorter than me, but you can't be skinnier than me.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. funny. Yep. Yep. Oh,
For sure.
yeah.
Mine are like snowshoes. Awesome. This is the Bigfoot
That's
show.
that's hilarious. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So good. Okay, so how did you do this? How did you your whole writing process? Like, so how did you set aside time to make this great work? Okay.
Everybody asks that. Okay, so here's two things I have to say. When I was doing the book adaptation screenplays for GP Taylor, I learned a lot about story structure. Just as I just went to seminars, I read books, and learned about story structure, because that works for film, and because that's what's required, and what keeps your interest. And so I outline, which helps me move quickly when I write.
Yeah.
But my fourth grade teacher, who actually is in the book, Wanda Whaling. That was my fourth grade teacher in real life.
I won't give away the.
Well, we won't
thing
talk about
about
her, but she was the one who helped me realize that I was a writer. I didn't know that. I just had fun writing, and I didn't know that about myself yet.
Yeah.
And so she's the one who told me, when the other kids have a sentence written, you have a whole page. Because I was like, I was so like, and in her class, she really allowed a lot of creative writing time. And there was times when she actually had to get me checked for hearing, because I would tune out so hard that I wouldn't hear anything. And so I just tunnel in. I don't know how to explain it. And so I'm kind of fast. Like I work really quickly. But the outline is what helps me a lot, because it helps me stay focused on where I'm going with it. And it just gives me, it's like being on a trail and like, hey, I'm going to hike to that tree. It just helps a lot to know where you're going. So
I thought I thought for sure you had to be a plotter, because it's so woven, like the story is just woven so well. And I thought for sure she has to be a plotter, because there's no way you could just pants this.
No. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, no, definitely a plotter. Although the coolest thing ever for me is that I might plot something, but it totally changes all the time, because as you're writing, there's these ripples, and it just changes, and something comes out. It takes the shape of its own. And then you have to keep replotting, but nonetheless, it helps me a lot. So, and honestly, unfortunately, when I write, I don't read as much. So people ask, well, how do you find time to write? Well, instead of reading, I write.
Oh, that's good.
But it's been difficult, because I have a 2 and 4-year-old. I did it late, so I'm in my 40s too. And so, like, for me, it's really hard to find time, but I prioritize it above a lot of things. And so that's because I just love it that much, I guess.
That's awesome. That's so inspiring. First of all, I would have never thought you were in your 40s.
Oh, thank you.
And did you say that you wrote screenplays? Yes,
I used to do book adaptations. I only did a couple, but I learned a lot by that. I think it's before I had enough courage to write my own stuff.
Yeah.
And so my way of doing it, my way of doing it was writing screenplays, book adaptations for GP Taylor, who I'm a huge fan of. I contacted him because I loved his books, and he was a New York Times bestselling author. And so he was quite a mentor for me for quite some time. And then I got in touch with a team of producers who kind of just told me, like, oh, hey, we need to go to this seminar. Let's do this. And, I learned a lot about script development and story development. And so I poured a lot of time and energy into that. And that's what gave me courage to write my books. Like, okay, I can do this now. Like, so it just gave me the tools and the courage I needed to do it. So I did. I before I was brave enough to like put my own stuff out there.
That's amazing. I haven't heard of that author, but are the screenplays like actual movies?
One of his books is a movie now. So Shadowmancer was the first one that really he self-published in the beginning, and then
really
Shadowmancer. And so he was dubbed by the BBC a long time ago. Not that long ago, but it's like sort of a modern day Lewis. So you might love his stuff. And so he was a pastor before in the past. And so his books are fantasy, Christian but it's there if you want it. It's not in your face, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's there for everybody. But he wrote Shadowmancer, Wormwood, Tertius. Tertius was the big one I was working on. And then there's this movie called The Adventurer on you can find it on Netflix with like Sam Neill, Lena Headey. But it was from his book, the Mariah Mundy and the Midas box.
Okay.
And so the producers that took that on, now I won't say much about it other than it took a pretty different shapes than the book did.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
and then I think it went through a lot of different screenwriters, so it kind of lost its soul a little bit, to be honest. But it's a fun movie, but for me it just lost
Not the
its
same. Yeah.
content. But yeah, so one was made, and apparently he's got something else in the works again for Shadowmancer right now. So he's in England. He's an English author. So anyway, so
Okay.
apparently, yeah. And then I think some big producers had his stuff for a while, and he took the rights back. So yeah, he was one of I think actually at one point one of his books, I think it was Shadowmancer, kind of outsold Harry Potter for like 5 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. So you should read his
I've heard
stuff.
that book. I've heard of that.
Yeah, he's from Yorkshire. Yeah.
He's from Yorkshire. Oh, cool.
And yeah, it's they're amazing books. My favorite is Wormwood. Wormwood is incredible. Old North London. I mean, I'm telling you, so good. Yeah.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Yeah, G.P. Taylor. Okay. Graham Piercy Taylor. Yeah. So
that's so cool though. You wrote screenplays for him.
I did, yes, I did. And we wrote, well, he wrote an original and I helped him with it. And then he writes some pretty amazing horror too. So there's some vampire ones he's written. So yeah, I worked with him quite a bit. It was fun. And I learned a lot from that. So
that's so cool. That's so inspiring. So, okay, you did that. And then you said you don't read when you're writing. So that implies that.
Yeah, I don't.
When you're writing or when you're reading, you're not doing other things. So
precisely, yeah. And also, I have this. I'm a big fan of unadulterated creativity. Mm-hmm. I feel that if I'm reading something, it'll affect my writing, and I don't want that. So I tend to try not to read when I'm writing, so that I stay true to my voice.
Yeah, that's a really.
That's another reason.
I don't want to say it's a common thing, but a lot of authors that I've had on here say that same thing. They don't read when, yeah. I'm
not sure if you do that too, but
I haven't. So that's probably why all my stuff sounds like other stuff.
No, no, don't say that. That is not true. You have a beautiful voice, and you can tell. No, don't say that.
No, I was telling her before the show. I was like, books like this, they just make you feel like, why do I attempt to write books? Seriously, I know you're gonna say that, but seriously, it's so well done. You did such a good job. It's edited so well. I mean, there's not one typo. You don't have any. No typos. And I was like, this is so, I mean, not just that, but like, it's just so well done. It has the mark of traditional publishing. So I guess like your editor for sure, like, you said she worked for Scholastic.
She used to, yeah. She was pretty awesome because she read it and she said, she was like, I'm not going to do any grammatical or whatever proofreading because you don't need it, but she's like, we're gonna do story editing, and so that's what she focused on a lot with me. And in fact, it's interesting because she's awesome, and there was one thing she was like, I don't know about that title. She's like, it's kind of a mouthful, and so she was sort of, but I stuck to my guns on that one because
no, it's perfect. Yeah,
I love it. It really stands out. And my little sister, I think I told you about that she one day was kind of joking around and she was like, what is it? Mermaid? So she was sorry to say that on here, but it was so funny. It was so funny.
No.
And but I love the title. And so I stuck with it. And then what else? Oh, and then she was like, yeah, and she talked about how it's gritty. She goes, but she did mention one thing that was interesting. She mentioned it was a bit innocent with the main character. And she's like, maybe you need to like bring in more teen, like, drama. Maybe she was a little too virginal, whatever. And, and I took some of that on board, but not entirely. I feel like I wrote it in the 90s era. And I think it stays true to that era. And I feel like kids need their innocence. It doesn't have to have some of the content that people think it needs. And I've added, so anyway, long story short, she was amazing. I'm not saying anything bad about what she said. She was on the mark for it for sure.
Totally.
But one cool thing she said was, we have the same marketing at our fingertips with self-publishing as the big guys do. Maybe not the money.
Yeah.
But she said, and if there's a place for it, it'll find its way. So I thought that was cool, because I was asking her, should I hold out for like an agent and see if I can get published? Should I try that? She basically said, no, do this. She's like, if it's got a place in the market, it'll find it. And I thought that was cool. So she really encouraged me to self-publish. So that was neat.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Because I was like, if this doesn't get traditional published, none of us have hope, you know? It just, did you even try traditional? I can never say that.
No,
traditional.
No, not a little tiny bit, but not much. Because when I published it, I felt like there was more, there's a bigger push for more alternative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a political atmosphere.
Yes.
So I just felt that I just didn't think that it would find, I didn't fit a criteria of something that they were looking for at the time. Because at the time there's just this big movement right now of, alternative, like sort of,
diversity and inclusion.
Yes. And so I just felt like, okay, I'll just self-publish, because they're exactly diversity and inclusion. And so I just felt like, I wouldn't be a priority. And not to say that that's true. I just felt that no, I'm going to do this myself. And honestly, to be another thing too is, I felt confident that I could do it myself, and that I didn't really want anyone messing with the material, if that makes sense. And I know a lot of authors feel that way, and some need it. I just, maybe it could be even better, but I just didn't want it. I just was like, I want control of this thing. So yeah, I don't know. So I just went with it myself.
Yeah, there's so many good things from that, because your story's perfect. And then you wouldn't have had it out for years, by the time you got an agent, got an editor, and then it would be 1 or 2 more years before you had it. I mean, still wouldn't be out there, And when was it published? 21?
21, yeah, July 21.
So who knows? It's so much faster. You can say whatever you want, you can put whatever you want in your book. And this, again, for anybody that missed it, like, she's done YA so well. Adults will love this, but it's for teens, like a teen could safely read this book. And
when people ask me if their 9-year-olds can read it, I say yes, as long as they're not spooky, because there's some spooky stuff in there. But some of my biggest fans are middle-aged men, and I'm talking like, and that's what I wanted, I wanted that. And so, I'm glad you pointed that out. Thank you. Yeah. I wanted a book that everyone could read, not just a certain age group. Yeah. And I even had another man in his 60s who's a pilot, and he's actually a friend of mine. And he was like, okay, I'll read this. And he's like, he wrote me, he's like, I was waiting for the moment where my knees would shake and I'd be tapping the table like, he's like, it never happened. So I thought that was cool, because
he was bored. He was waiting for that moment.
He was like, I wouldn't ever read a mermaid book. He's like, but yours, he's like, he read it twice. I thought that was cool.
Sure. Well, like that. And because it's not like a normal mermaid story. It's definitely not Mermaid Barbie, for sure. But it's like you got the sirens. And I love how you took that. They're like creepy, terrible creatures,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and even the mermaids don't really look how you'd think they would, like the scales on the arms and stuff. I was like, I love it. And I mean, there is a lot of grit and the spookiness. And I love that. I love a story with even middle grade stories. I love a good amount of spooky.
It gets even spookier in the second book. I can't wait, you guys. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I had one of my editors said that she wrote me a message and said, thanks a lot. She's like, I'm freaked out in my hotel room right now or something. I forgot what it was, but I was laughing. I thought that was cool. And it's not a bad spooky. It's just, she was just like, whoa, so anyway.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Yeah. And for anybody just tuning in, her book 2 released today. So that's why we're drinking wine, because we're celebrating. Oh, and Jonathan, we did the Gosling toast. We said, take up the broken sword of your fathers and strike down the darkness. So
I love that so much. You have no idea.
good.
Yes, I want to
Okay,
go get an
we have
outfit and go outside. I'm a Renaissance Fair fan,
oh, yeah.
so I feel like I could go to the Renaissance Fair and say that every time, like, you can do
Yes.
anything.
Take up the broken
I
sword
love
of
it.
your father and strike down the
Yes.
darkness. Yes. I've
Yes.
always wanted to go into Dragon Con. I have not. I've not gone to either one.
I haven't
It's
gone
such
to
a
any of those, and I need to. So,
You haven't? So you didn't go to the
mm-mm.
Renaissance Fair?
Well, not this year. No, I've been to lots of Renaissance fairs in
Okay.
the past,
Yeah.
but just not in a couple of years. I really wanted to go this year, and I actually have little elf ears and all the good things, but
Yay.
I just didn't. I wasn't able to. So
Sure. Yeah. I haven't been in years, like since I was in my 20s. He says, "Nice, we're honored." Yes, it was yeah, I was hoping you would come on so we could tell you. And then Rosemary, who is RM Ruiz, by the way, and she writes The Chosen Kids, so good. So good. Middle grade series. Self-publishing is the way to go. You can stay true to your story. Amen. And you can say
yay.
whatever you want on your social media, you know? When all the political things happen and you want to say something about it, you don't got to worry about not having to say it. So there's that. And then I have a children's short story I've written, but I'm so unsure about editing and publishing. Maybe I should at least try. Yeah, Tricky. And you're in the Goslings Patreon with me. So you are surrounded by writers. So
Absolutely. Oh, please
do it.
do. Please do. Absolutely. Please
Do it.
do. Oh my gosh. Um, I have a neighbor who is writing a children's book, and it's so amazing how talented she is
Mhm.
and how scared she is to put her stuff out there. It's
Isn't that funny?
incredible. And
Yeah.
it's so just do it. Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's one thing that is good about traditional. I can't say it. I'm never going to be able to say traditional publishing.
Yeah.
Traditionally published. The one thing about that route is that you get rejected so much that by the time your book's actually a thing, when you get bad reviews, it's like nothing, you know,
Yeah.
because of rejection is so good for just to
I
humble
mean, someone's
you.
trying to bring you down. Like they're playing, what do you call it? King of the castle a little bit, like try to bring you down. It's not necessarily, yeah, but
Yeah. And
oh,
you know, you just you and I mean that's why people don't become authors. They don't become authors because they don't write the book, you know. Like you took the time away and you took the time and you wrote the book and you finished the story, you know? And I had Seth on here last week in our
yeah.
group chat and we were talking about how I swear every time you say that you've written a book, somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to write a book too."
Oh my gosh, that one's so funny. I've always wanted to, and it's always memoirs of their life, you know. And
Yes.
I'm not trying to
Which are
make fun of people who
wonderful.
write
Yeah.
memoirs because there's some great ones out there, and they do have a great life story. But I feel like it's just nervousness, you know, because
Yeah.
then it makes it awkward because then you're like, you know, oh okay, you know, it's just kind
Yeah.
of like, you know,
You got
like
to write
people
it.
feel awkward. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, tricky. You sent my book to John and Nick. I'm not sure if it's up to standard. Well, it won't be. It won't. When you first write the book, you just have to finish it. It's not going to be good, you know? But then you edit it. But you have to
Yes.
have something to edit. So,
Precisely.
yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
one.
The first draft is
Yeah.
like, what
But you
was
gotta
I
finish.
saying there? Yeah, and then you know another thing is, have you had this? I noticed you were like narrating Brumble Tide, obviously, in person.
Did
I
you
love
listen to
that
it?
idea. I love that idea. I need to do little videos of me doing a chapter at a time because that's really awesome. But I finally have someone doing my Audible,
Yay.
because I have a sister who actually the 6 foot tall one who looks like a Viking. She literally does, by the way.
Yeah.
And her daughter's babysitting my kids upstairs right now. And yeah, she's like 6'2". Long story short,
Really?
I'm the shortest one in my family.
Wow.
But she drives trucks for a living, like big semi trucks, and she she devours Audible books. And she's like,
That's
"When are you
amazing.
getting it on Audible? When are you getting it on Audible?" And then so a friend of mine, Noah Needleman, who's a musician, and like long story short, he's the same way. He's like, "Get it on Audible," and I'm like, "Okay, when?" Like, you know.
Right.
So he's doing Audible for me. So he's got like a music producing studio in his house, and he's actually, I don't know what he's doing right now, but he's recently, I don't know if he's doing it right now, but if you guys know Brett Young, the country singer.
I just got into country. I know,
Okay,
it's weird,
he
but
sings that song in case you didn't know. He's a triple platinum country singer. So Noah works with him as a sound manager, guitarist. And he's
wow.
also an amazing musician. He's got this wonderful voice. He's got one of my favorite voices. A real good friend.
Yeah.
And he's finally doing Audible for me.
That's amazing.
And so it's really neat. So he's getting that done. And so it's been so cool to have him send me a chapter at a time and hear his voice narrating my story, because just hearing somebody else's voice read it with with all the passion and excitement that you should when you read something, it just makes me so happy, especially him, because he's got an amazing voice. Anyway, his name is Noah Needleman. So he's doing that,
awesome.
and that's been so cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that's
cool.
been happening.
Yeah. So you have book 2 out, and now Audible's coming.
Yes, I'm working on Audible. Yeah, he's working on it for me.
Well, yeah, but it's coming. It's going to be your.
It is. He's done with chapter 5, so it's coming. Yes, he's like, I'm going to do a chapter a day, so we'll see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not know you were English, Tricky. I did not know. Oh my gosh, I have to hear your voice. And you have to listen to me reading my book, because I read it in an English accent that I think is amazing, even though it's ridiculous. And nobody said anything about it. Did you listen to the English accent one?
Yeah, remember I told you did fine. Yeah, it was hilarious.
Well, okay. So, yes. Okay, so this is the first feedback I've had ever on it. And you just said I did fine.
Well, you did good. You did good. It's and so Tricky. So I don't know if you knew this either, but I had, long story short, I lived in England for like a year and 8 months, but I'd been there 8 times before I lived there. And Staffordshire. Okay, cool. So I lived in like Surrey, like Caterham, like south of. So it was like a half-hour train ride into London. I love London. I do love English things, all things English. It's so good, including Lewis and Tolkien, of course. And so anyway, yeah, I love the culture, and of course they're the world's greatest literature, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like the language allows for. The English language allows for great literature, because there's so many different ways to say one thing. That doesn't exist in every language, because English is such a hodgepodge of the language, of the shaping of the language historically has created such a great way to express something. So now, granted, like Pablo Neruda, I love his poetry in Spanish. Like I love his it's beautiful. But I just feel like English creates like something a little bit more. Yeah, definitely. You just have a lot more ways to say something. So anyway,
that's the first time I've ever heard somebody speak well of it in that manner, because they're usually like, English is the hardest language to learn because we have so many different words for all this stuff. And that was good. Thank you. Yeah, she's sticking up for English.
I am. Yes, it's good stuff.
That's awesome.
Yes. Well, when you learn the history of English, it's fun. It's neat. It's neat.
Yeah, I can tell you are a history person. Somewhat, at least. Or you like to, when something is your jam, you research it back and forward, because you can tell that in here, Yeah,
I guess you say that. And I like languages a lot. I love language. And I guess I do love history. Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but I do, I guess. Yeah, I just like cultures and history, and I'm just a bit of a nerd, I guess, all around. But anyway, yeah, I think so. Yeah. You know what, though? If you guys haven't read it yet, how the Irish Saved Civilization by I forgot his name right now. One of the best books ever to learn about kind of the history of the world when the Roman Empire was falling.
Ooh.
So, but it teaches you learn a lot about how kind of literature was preserved by these Irish monks, and sort of and I think that's kind of where I learned a little bit about the history of the English language, and sort of got a fascination of it was from that book. So it's called Sir Thomas Cahill, I think, How the Irish Saved Civilization. You should totally read it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
I can pretty much do any accent from England, Scotland, or Wales, or Ireland. I copied accents from a child. Nice.
That's awesome. I have the worst accent. I'm half Yankee, half redneck.
Love it.
And then
Oh my
And
gosh, I lived in England, I was called a Yankee. I lived in Louisiana, I was called a Yankee. I'm like, oh my gosh.
that's so funny. My mom's from
Yeah.
Michigan. That's what
Okay,
that's
nice. Yeah,
but my dad always called her Yankee, so that's funny.
nice. I like it.
So funny.
Yeah.
Okay, let me make sure I'm asking you all the questions I wanted to,
Okay.
um, because it's just so good. And I want to make sure that I do. I think I didn't write it down, but I just wanted to ask you if you were a Harry Potter fan because
Oh, of course I'm a Harry
you are.
Potter fan. And yes, I love Harry Potter. Yes.
Yeah. Because
You
yeah,
know,
I mean,
I read those books in my 20s,
okay.
and when I realized, I realized that reading them with a headlamp on my head was way more fun. And so I didn't have to. I just did. And so I would get in my bed, like put my headlamp on, read it in the dark, just because it was a fun
That's amazing.
experience.
I
Yeah.
need a headlamp.
Yes, put the
Man,
headlamp
I
on my
don't have a
head.
headlamp. Yeah, oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
you gotta get
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I read them when I was 19 and yeah, just
Yes.
fell in love with them, but I just like kept seeing kind of hints of Harry Potter. I mean, even though it's adults will love this book, but the witches, and then and I don't think you meant to do it, but I mean, it just made me think of Harry Potter in a lot of different ways.
I definitely wanted the same readers who loved, like, Harry Potter and uh Twilight and all the mainstream thing. I wanted people who love those stories to love this one too. So, because and the thing with Harry Potter that I love is that it's middle grade, but there's a lot of amazing adult characters in it because you don't
Yeah.
always get that.
Yes.
And that is one thing I emulated. I definitely wanted some strong adult characters in my books. And I did have some people caution me, oh, you have too many adult characters in your books. And I'm like,
Really?
yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Because
I
it's younger.
love that
And I was like,
that
no, keep
Grandpa
it.
Ollie I love that Grandpa Ollie is a main character.
Yeah.
And to me, I see him as Geppetto.
Oh, I love it.
Just like a little Geppetto type man.
Yes.
But I mean, like we kind of have gotten away from like letting men, like
Mhm.
be good characters in the book. And so I like that you did that. I love his character.
Yeah.
And just that he's kind of her right hand guy in a way.
Yeah.
But I love that, and I love his character, and he just in my mind was Geppetto.
Yeah. There's a lot of material out there right now where the adults are supposed to be stupid and the
Yes.
kids shouldn't listen to them. And there's also a lot of material where it's okay to abuse men, and
Yeah.
sort of make them seem silly and stupid and all these
Yeah.
things in the name of elevating women. And I don't think we need to do that. So, yeah, with Grandpa Ollie, I felt it was important to create adult characters, much like in Harry Potter, that helped mentor the younger folk, because that is
Yeah.
how it should be. That's how
Yeah.
it should be. They're not. It's just you're not. I remember back to when I was younger and all you're just not equipped. You need somebody
Yeah.
who's equipped. So
For sure.
yeah, so
And
Grandpa.
that's also what's good about Madge, the main character, is that she is so flawed. She's just a normal teenage girl.
Yeah.
She does the bad. She just deliberately disobeys sometimes.
Yeah.
And just goes off in left field. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah, I
that.
had one young reader tell me she said there was one part of the book that upset me, and I was like, uh-oh. I was like, what upset you? She's like, well, we won't tell. It's not that it actually upset her. But when she disobeyed something and she went and did
Oh,
something. So it's the
that's
scene where
sweet.
it's when she goes with Celine somewhere. Let's just put it that
Wow.
way. I don't want to give spoilers. And so she was like, yeah, and I worried about how Grandpa Ollie would feel. And I thought that was so cute that this 11-year-old was like
Yeah.
worried about that. And it's not that she didn't like it. She knew it was a necessary part of the story, but I thought it was cool because I asked her who her favorite character was, and she said Grandpa Ollie. I thought that was cool.
Okay, yeah. So she
Yeah.
doesn't want. That's awesome. I know. I love all the different types of readers. Because there's
Yeah.
definitely readers like me that I really enjoy the flaws in the characters. I love the creepy factor. I love a creepy factor even in a kid's book. Even when I was a kid.
Same. Give
Yeah,
me all the ghost stories. Yeah.
for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Or like in like sort of like a grim fairy tale, where it's like, magical, this could be a Hansel and Gretel, but then you're going she's actually going to eat the children, you know, like
Yeah.
where it's like just all these weird, ridiculous elements. I love that. I love that when it's like, where did we just go? But strangely enough, I do not like Alice in Wonderland. It's too weird for me. I like the movie.
I'm not a huge fan of Alice in Wonderland either. It is pretty. I admire it. I admire it,
Yeah,
but I don't love it.
same.
Same way I feel about the Beatles. I admire the Beatles, but I don't love the Beatles.
Yeah, that's so
But
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I recognize it's great work. I'm just like, yeah, not my cup of tea. So
yeah,
yeah,
yes. Except for Taylor Swift. That I don't understand at all. I'm just kidding.
I'm not a fan of Taylor Swift.
Not
I'm
either.
sorry, I am not.
I don't get it. I don't
I'm like,
I don't get it. Yeah, but yes. Anyway, but I had this one girl, you know, like Nick's son really loves creepiness in the books, okay? When a book takes a creepy turn. But I had this one girl, I was just telling her what the books were about. And her face just like went from listening intently to pure horror. This could possibly be a children's book. And I was like, huh. Maybe I did go too far, but it's just all the different readers, you know. We have the people that like Babysitter's Club, and then there was the people that like Harry Potter, and then there's people that like scary stories to tell in the dark.
oh my goodness, you
Yes.
guys, we grew up on scary stories to tell them in the dark. I mean, I and it's funny, and I haven't watched the movie yet because the movie, I'm not really into scary movies anymore, so I put it on and it was a little. I just couldn't get into it, but the stories I used to like, the little vignettes. I just love those. But
Yeah.
do you remember the one with the dog and they're getting? Do you remember that? And itchy kitchy kali molly dingo dingo, and so there
Oh
was
my
this
gosh.
voice, and so we
I
used to
kind of
read those a
remember
lot.
that.
Okay, well, we used to read those a lot growing up as a family. So just out loud because they're short and fun and spooky and all the things.
And
So
spooky, yeah. But was it a scary story to tell in the dark? It was from that
yeah, it
book?
was scary stories to tell in the
Okay.
dark. Yeah, the story. Yeah, exactly. The one with like I remember the front of it was like the big skull with
Yes.
the pipe. Yeah, I used
Yeah.
to love reading those. Yeah.
Remember the lady with the spiders in her face?
Oh yes, I do. Oh,
The worst.
The hook used to scare me. The hook.
Oh, the
You
movie?
remember- No, the hook story. The story of the hook. Yeah,
Oh,
maybe
in the Scary Stories book.
yes, in the scary
Okay,
stories.
yeah.
Yeah, that one used to freak me out. Like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. So good. I know. Yeah. For some reason, I love reading those. The one that's sticking out in my mind is the Spider Girl. But
Yeah.
but yes, I read them all and I love them all. Not in the moment. In the moment, I was terrified, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yes, I understand.
So
I know
good.
we had to. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So. Aw.
But I love that. And you can definitely tell that all of that went into your first work. I can't believe this is your first book.
Oh,
yes.
thank you. Oh, thank you.
It's just so well done. And Ian said that. He was like, so well done. And I'm like, so well done. It's so good. But yeah.
Thank you.
And
I'm so excited.
yeah. And book 2 is out today, which I will definitely be reading.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's interesting now that I have all the readers, on board with it, and it's still ranking well the whole time it's been published, which has been fun. And but now that I have readers, I think I'm just so excited to let them read the second book because it's gonna surprise the heck out of you. And
Yeah.
and I'm just and I'm weaving in even more mythology and
Yes.
taking it deeper. You'll see. So I'm just so excited. I just wish I can get inside someone's head and like see what they see as they're reading it because that would be fun. But
I know. I wish that, and just inside your head, because because we talk about this, but still you're like a smiley, pretty lady. You know what I mean? And it's like just to look at you, and without just to look at you and talk to you, you wouldn't know that you're writing like amazing fantasy stories, full of like lore and mythology and all this cool stuff. You never know it. I love that. It's like a hidden secret.
Yes.
Hidden Vala.
There's some hidden Vala for sure. Yes, absolutely.
Rosemary says, "Oh my gosh, I can barely read the Goosebumps series." I know. I don't know what's wrong with us. My husband gets up and drinks his coffee and will watch like those ridiculous horror movies.
Oh, the slapstick horrors, like oh gosh, there's so many of them. Yeah.
I mean, just
Oh,
the
Game of Thrones, I
ridiculous
love.
mall.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know, I grew up in a family that so I have 4 sisters and a brother.
Mhm.
Big family, and they loved scary movies growing up. And you know, 80s and 90s kids, right? So
Yeah.
uh we had a lot of those. And so I don't, there's some of them I feel are fun, and others I don't feel are
Yeah.
healthy
Yeah.
for people. But anyway, but as a kid,
Totally.
I'm thinking, golly, I watched those from an early age. I don't even remember the first time I saw like The Exorcist, for example, as a kid.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
remember. Yeah. So we were exposed to, you know, scary stuff. And so, but yeah. And it's funny because now, like, it's not my first choice. I'll try and I'll have it on for 5 minutes. I'd rather almost read it. I'll have something on for
Yeah.
5 minutes and I'm like, nope, nope, nope.
Yeah.
If it's straight horror, you know, it just
Same.
depends, you know. And I don't count like vampire and like fantasy horror. That's different. When it's
Yeah.
just straight horror meant to like terrify you, or, you know, like, nope,
Sure.
I don't want
I'm
it
more Stranger
anymore.
Things now. Did you
Oh,
watch
I love
Stranger
me some
Things?
Stranger
So
Things.
good.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Love me some Stranger Things.
Me too. So
But
good.
lights flickering scared me for a while.
Yes. And the
You
clock.
know?
The
And
clock.
which one?
The clocks. Like when they see the
Oh,
clock and then
yeah.
what's his
Yeah.
name would show up.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. They're so, I love Stranger Things. So,
Me
yeah.
too. Yes.
Yeah.
And we're 80s kids. So
Yeah.
that mall was my mall that I was a mall rat at. Gwinnett Mall
What?
in Georgia. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's so
It was
cool.
so wild.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
Yeah.
know.
One of my nieces is a diehard Stranger Things fan. I'll have to tell her that. Like, I talked to an author who's that's her. She was a mall right at this mall, the Star. They call it
Yeah.
Starcourt. But yeah, oh,
Starcourt.
that's really cool. Okay.
Yeah. It was
Nice.
Gwinnett Place Mall. And it's still there, but it's just a ghost town like all malls now. Our kids will
Yeah.
never know the magic of malls. Like at Christmas time, Santa and I love malls, you know?
I know. I do too. I know.
Yeah.
I used to love go. You get dropped off. You go walk around. You get your orange Julius. You know, you went into Spencer's and, you know, all the things. Claire's, all the things. Yeah, it was fun.
579, you
I
know?
have a feeling they'll make a comeback.
You think so?
Eventually. I do.
Yeah.
Just
Maybe.
because the world's aching for nostalgia half the time. I feel like they will. Not as big, maybe, but I think they will. We'll see. But
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
And we like to, you know, the 70s have been back several times now since I've been a human, you know.
I know. Oh my God. I've never been a fan of bell bottoms, and I'm like, oh, bell bottoms are back. Yeah.
I don't like the low rise jeans.
Oh,
I'm
I hate
like,
those. Mm-hmm.
no, let's just stick with the mom jean. Come
Yeah.
on. Yes.
100%. Oh my gosh. I never thought I'd get back into 501 Levi's, but I'm like, these are great.
They're great. And who likes jeans anyway? They're horrible. Nobody wants to wear jeans. We like leggings. We like leggings and nothing else. All right. This was so good. Can you believe we've been going for an hour and a half?
That's exciting. Thank you. Oh my, this was so much fun. I've had a blast. I wish I could interview you about your book. So you know.
No, because you needed to be interviewed. And that's why I love doing this show, because I'm tiny and I'm having all of these amazing authors that are self-published, so nobody knows about them yet. And they're going to, like you are, I said this at the beginning of the show, we're in the presence of greatness. Oh, you're just such a good writer. It was so good. And and when you're rich and famous, you're going to get tons of views because people will search in the YouTube Amanda Adam Merewif interview, and there will be.
That's so sweet of you. Oh my goodness. You know, it's everyone's hope that their work becomes elevated someday. But I do have a friend who is asking me to do a screenplay adaptation, so she can give it to a producer. But that she works with. Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Well, I'm hoping for that, but I'm not holding my breath either. You know. So
yeah, but still, you know, this, and I mean, I said this to Ashley McCory. She wrote the 2020 Injection.
Oh, awesome. Yes,
it was really good. You've got to read that. It's really good.
It's on my list. Oh my gosh. I can't wait. I'm going to be reading everything.
I know.
After today, like tomorrow, I've got a whole list. So it's going to be so much fun.
luckily I interview everybody, so I have to read their stuff. And so I get to read everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
Part of the
like,
job.
yeah.
But your book, like I had told her, that's what's going to make everyone readers again, is no downtime in the book, like you said, your friend said there was no moment where he was just like sitting at the table tapping his fingers, and there's no downtime. And that's so important in this age where it's so hard to get people away from the devices,
Yeah.
So to have a book that it's just so fast paced and then just filled with all this, I just keep saying cool stuff because cool
you don't want to give
stuff.
it away. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think, like I said, the story structure, I learned how to. I wanted to create something cinematic in someone's mind. So I wanted people to feel like they were watching a film. That's what I was going for.
You did.
Oh, thank you. I
Oh my
appreciate
gosh.
that.
I mean, the one that stands out in my mind, it was like that through the whole book, but with Juliana. Is it Juliana? That's her name,
Yeah,
right?
Juliana.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Juliana the sea nymph. And she's in the vault, and then she'll once she's done talking to Matt, she disappears into the painting.
Yeah.
And the way that you did that, it was just like you're right there watching it.
Oh.
I mean, I could so clearly see it. I could so clearly see her going out to sea, when she's being pulled into the sea, because they're mermaids. So it's like they just feel this pull, this like craving for the sea, and just the way you describe them being in the water and just the feelings of it all. And it was just so good. And also it was in third person, which was wonderful. Most YA, they'll write in first,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the third person was so brilliant for this because you just see everyone's point of view in a way,
Yeah.
And I thought that was just a great move.
Oh, you should. The first edition of this, before I had a multiple character point of view for a little bit. And the cool part about that was I didn't end up keeping that, obviously, but the cool part about that was it really gave me a view into all of the character, well, especially the villains. It gave me sort of like, helped me map out what they were up to in the meantime. Well, all these, so that was kind of cool because you have to always, even if you're not telling the full story of what the villain's up to, in your head you need to be thinking about what they're up to, because it helps bring everything together. But anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's so good. Yeah, J.K. Rowling said that. She said she loves a story that you can tell the author knows more than what's in the book. And
that's cool.
Yours is definitely that way, because you don't go that much into Vivian, like she is kind of just in the shadows for most of the book.
Oh, you should read these chapters I had to cut with her, and it was amazing. And there were some of my favorite chapters with Vivian. And but you'll learn more about her later. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, but still, it was almost better that she's so mysterious, because your mind kind of fills in all the rest,
Yeah.
And that was brilliant. And yeah, you can tell that there's more here, that more, and that just makes it such a believable world.
Yeah.
Love that.
Love that. Thank you. That's so cool. Oh,
it's so good. But yeah, I remember J.K. Rowling saying that, and it's so true.
That's cool. I like that a lot. That's really neat. Yeah. So one book I have to recommend to all the writers out there, Stan Williams, The Moral Premise. So Tricky, great interview. Thank you. Yeah. His stuff. There's like Save the Cat and all these other ones, which is great, of course. But my favorite is The Moral Premise by far, because it gets into the true vein of what's behind a story, like the moral of the story.
Yeah.
So it really helps you hone in that. So his was one of the seminars, my favorite ones to this day that I went to. It was like 2 different days. And, and essentially, and he's basically saying that first half of the book, your character is acting in their vice. And then the midpoint happens. And then that character acts with their virtue, which is a part of, your whole
Okay.
streamlines with the whole the moral premise.
Sure.
So it was really neat because
That's
I feel
good.
like us as humans, that's what we're always doing, right? We're acting out, and then we know better, and then we try to do better, right? So I
Yeah.
feel like that was true to life, and
That is good,
especially
yeah.
as people of faith too. We're messing up every day, all the time. So it's
Yeah,
good. Yeah, all the time.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are, but thankful for Jesus that we have his blood on our door.
Oh, 100%. It's the only reason for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell this story. It's so, I told about Sheila's kidney today.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I didn't even have words. I was like, how do I even say how awesome this is? Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, she's been
Yeah.
waiting for 6 years.
I know.
Okay. And she got a call like a month, maybe 2 months ago. Anyway, but that the kidney wasn't healthy enough for her. So we all like laid hands on her. I've never done that before. Okay. Like laid hands on her and prayed one Sunday morning. And my kids, Anna and Ryan, who are 10 and 6, they were in the class and they are, laying hands. And it was the first time I'd done it. It was the first time they'd seen anything like this. And so we're all praying for her. And it was so funny because everybody takes a turn. And then, like, I guess all of us were kind of waiting to see if anybody else would go. And my 6-year-old goes, "Who's next?" Anyway, so we pray for her. And then she gets the call today. She gets the call yesterday. She gets the kidney. But the man that she's getting his kidney, he was HIV positive and had hepatitis B. And so they're able, because of technology, they can clean all that out and then she can use it. Right?
Amazing.
Know. And I was like, how did that just point straight to Jesus, doesn't it? Because he kills our old self, cleans us up, and gives new life, just like this kidney is doing for Sheila.
I love it so much. I thought it was one of my favorite sermons I ever heard. I was doing young life leadership training in college, and there's a weekend getaway, and one of my favorite ones to this day that always sticks with me is that there's a father and a son or daughter, whatever, kid, baby, has a dirty diaper, poopy diaper, and the father's like, "Hey baby, do you have a poopy?" And the baby's like, no poopy. And then he's like, "Okay, I'll leave it for a minute." And then the son's like, "Hey, should we change that poopy?" "Oh, no poopy." And then it gets to be saggy and gross, and the father's like, "Let's change this poopy." And the baby's crying and upset, and then he gets a new diaper and it's new again. And all our father wants to do is change our poopy diapers, and we have poopy diapers daily because we all suck and we just sin every day, and we just need those diapers changed every day. And that was my favorite one because it's so true. We're just a bunch of toddlers who want our way and have poopy diapers, so it's pretty true.
That's fantastic. That's
every single day. Yeah, every single day.
Yeah, we need to be wiped clean.
Yeah.
So funny. So good.
So that one stuck with me. And so you're right. He cleans things up and makes it new. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. So that was so good. That was the best analogy I've ever heard. But okay, so it's 9 here. It's 9 o'clock here. So
okay.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go.
Fun.
But it was so fun. But
Yes.
but how can everybody find you?
So I need to update my website with my second book, but I am more active on Instagram and Facebook now, and my handle I think is just Amanda Adam Writer. Okay. But pretty generic, but it's just someone told me not to use the title of the book, to use my name, so I did.
Yeah.
And I do keep people updated on Facebook and Instagram, and I have a website you can subscribe to as well. Amanda Adam Writer, or no, amandaadam.com. Okay. And that's it. Right. So yeah,
I'll put it on the show notes for you.
Yay.
For everybody watching.
It's 2 a.m. there. Oh,
unbelievable. Wow. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, Tricky.
Yeah, thank you.
Rosemary, I know it was hilarious. It was awesome. And thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jonathan, for joining us. They're about to go live. So
yeah. But yeah. Well, thank you for this interview. I really enjoyed this a lot. So
awesome. It was an honor. It was an honor. I was so excited to talk to you about it and to interview you on the day of your release. So
yes, yeah, it's gonna be not long from now. I'm gonna hit the button and people will be able to get it. So
sweet.
I'm excited. Yeah, I purposefully did it when you I thought, well, let's coincide it with the day we do this so I can talk about a little bit.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you so
Oh
much.
no, thank you. This is great.
Oh, this is awesome. All right. Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much for joining us, guys. And I'm going to put all of her information in the show notes, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you. And yeah, do I say Jay Reese or do I say Angela right
Either
now?
one. I'm called both on here. So
Okay.
Angela,
Well,
just say Angela. Yeah.
all right. No, thank you, Angela. Thank you.
All right. All right. We'll see you guys later.